did see on another stream, I can't even remember because it was so many. I'm starting to push them together. Where you and Keisha were having a discussion about hair products that was giving Black women cancer, and I had just stumbled upon this article, and I was like, wow, this will be an interesting article to talk to her about when she comes on. And then when I told you about the article, you said it may have something to do with what you talked about, which was interesting. Could you further kind of explain what you mean by that, how you connect the two topics, what you did, and then this topic that we're talking about today?
Yeah. So actually, somebody from our audience brought this to our attention, which I'm so happy. Shout out to Dave. And our aunt Louise, she was a hairdresser. We're old school. Many Black people, especially where we're from in the South, it's very expected that you have to look a certain way. And so many Black women were expected to get their hair relaxed with hair relaxers. So some of these products, which many Black women have used since, very young age, things like Just For Me, Dark and Lovely, different perms, sometimes is what they're called. These items have been found to double the woman's ability to get uterine cancer and also fibroids. And the thing that's so it's really just so irritating to me because we spend so little time truly we talk about needing healthcare, but we spend very little time truly getting into the details of what people need. And Black women are so often overlooked, I think, because we're so often helping fight other people's battles because we're supposedly so strong. And this is something that we've been saying for such a long time. I mean, so many people use Black women and their fibroids as a political pawn, but nothing ever gets done about it. No one ever looks into it. How come there's no funding or research? Kamala Harris had absolutely no problem talking to Charlemagne the God about this. Never heard her talk about it again. So if we know that Black women have fibroids, and now looking at rates of uterine cancer, there have been class action lawsuits that have come together, and there are now actual commercials that are running. And that's what sparked my attention to it, because this had come up a few months ago where the studies had started coming out. They followed women for 11 years to see, what was going on with the cancer development or anything like that. And, if you've ever gotten your hair relaxed, listen, you put this chemical on your scalp and you're supposed to, let it sit there till it burns. And if you were shy in a Black, hairdresser place, then in a Black hair salon, then you might be sitting there for a while. And I was always very shy, oh, Louise. Sometimes you would get, these spots and stuff, and you'd have scabs on your head. And you were literally told, that is what is the expectation. I'm wearing a wig now, I will not be shamed again to be wearing protective styles, or getting braids. Thankfully, laws have changed in which Black women can finally wear our hair in different styles where it's not looked down upon. But the fact that there was a law that had to be passed so Black women's hair is not discriminated against, I just think there needs to be government intervention. There needs to be something here where let Black women get screenings for free. This needs to be taken care of, because who knows what other parts of the body that this could possibly be affecting. And then you look at stories like this where we already know that Black women, their death rates with trying to give kids, trying to give birth, we have high maternity death rates. And then also with the children, from this article you have, is saying that even with the wealthiest of Black women, their babies are dying. So somebody needs to be looking into this. And I just feel like something needs to be done. And this is something very specific. If everybody wants to start getting into electoralism, I've never heard anybody take up the mantle where this is something I think left or right, anybody could get behind.
Yeah, it's so weird that the Democratic Party, the Democratic establishment, Black women are so important. Yeah, Black women, they're this and they are the top of this, and they're, but it's never a solution. They never say black women, they're at the bottom of this pole, and we're gonna go ahead and target that problem and help them because they are helping us get it. It's never anything like that. And I would just hope that more black women are having conversations like you and your sister have, where they're waking up and saying, why are we giving our all to this party that literally just, takes all of our work and then just treats us, any kind of way? Because to me, I don't understand why like they should be rolling out the red carpet for black women if they're the ones who they're saying that's keeping them in office. To me, that would be a smart, like, politician. Yeah. But hey, maybe there's not maybe there's not many of them. But to kind of start the conversation on the article, and you kind of alluded to that, the birth rates with rich black women, and that's what this article talks about. And Nick says this a lot, and we've all say this a lot. This is where when we say race and class is one and the same for black people, this is an example or an illustration of that. Because it would go class. Maybe black people are disproportionately, but it's always class. But this is targeting, these are people in different classes. The black person is in the upper class and the white person is in the lower class, and it's the same issue. So we're not talking how this. Now there are black women in the lower class along with these poor white women that may have, will have the same issue. But if it's still happening with black women who are rich, then what are we talking about? And this is how it illustrates race and class for black people is the same thing. Or one and the same, I should say, not the same thing. Let me read part of the article and then get sort of your reaction to some of this. But the title is, and this is from the Griot, the title is Groundbreaking Study Shows Babies of Rich Black Women Die at a Higher Rate Than Those of Poor White Women. The landmark study is noteworthy since it's the first to demonstrate how black families, regardless of their financial condition, are disproportionately impacted by the dangers of childbirth. And this was just written yesterday, or just came out yesterday. The groundbreaking new analysis of 2 million births indicates that rich black women and their babies are twice as likely to die in the year after childbirth compared to their white counterparts. And let me read this last part, and then I'll get sort of your first reaction. According to the New York Times, nearly all the infants born to 2 million first-time moms between 2007 and 2016 in California, the state with the highest annual birth rate, are included in the study, released last month by the National Bureau of Economic Research. The babies born to the wealthiest black women or those in the top 10% earners tended to have higher risk factors than those delivered to more affluent white women. Black babies also had more risk than those born to the poorest white mothers, an indication that black mothers and their newborns suffer harm before childbirth, regardless of socioeconomic background. And I know you kind of either skimmed or read all of this article, but what say you about this this fact that what do you think it says? What do you think it speaks to say that black women in whichever economic status is still at a higher rate than even poor people of different races? What do you think that speaks to?
I mean, this is one of the, we know that this is a systemic issue that, I mean, it's a lot of it as well. Unfortunately, it's birthed out of all of these stereotypes, from slavery, just of the strength of black women, the fact that, we're looked at as breeders. Like something I even learned the other day was that, the term knocked up, when they used to have black women on the slave auction blocks, if they were pregnant, you could knock up the price. So they were knocked up. So even all of these terms that we have for the ways that we can be used, basically, I feel like in very many ways we're still looked at as machines and as vehicles rather than as people. And there are just, with TikTok these days, there are just so many testimonials that you can hear from Black mothers who, you know, it doesn't matter what the socioeconomic class, many of them, when they're in pain, they're being accused of being drug addicts, or, and they have no record, of any kind of drug history. So certain things like that are happening. And so I think that there's just a lot of tropes, and I think it's interesting because the conservatives could easily, try to sway Black women by focusing on any of these topics, but they don't like the reality that racism really exists, and that, this stuff is within the system. But you see people caught on camera. I saw somebody caught on camera the other day who was a nurse who was talking about Mexican women, and she was so dehumanizing in the way that she was talking about Mexican women, and how she, was going to treat them because she was drunk at a bar. And that's truly how people think, and they will treat you differently. So I don't know how you get past that bias. Like, we talk about having more Black doctors, that's probably would be helpful. But then again, we have Kamala in the White House and she doesn't do anything. So I don't know.
Right, exactly. And Obama was elected. But here's a couple of comments from Sabby Sab, of course. What's up, Sabby? So Serena Williams almost died during pregnancy because her pain was ignored. Wow. And then she has another one down here. Where's the other one? Gynecology came about by experimenting on Black women with no anesthesia. Sabby, with the just eye-opening facts about this topic.